the mind of momentary arising and ceasing, vs. the non-arising and non-ceasing mind. Devotee asks, based on my understanding, the mind is momentary, arising and ceasing. But Ajahn says the mind does not cease. So what is it really? Ajahn Golf answer, first we must clarify the most important point. What arises and ceases is not the mind itself but a state of the mind. As for the mind, its essence is neither arising nor ceasing. The mind, as the basis of all things, remains unchanged. While everything else arises and ceases, the mind never changes. It is always just the mind. The reason we perceive arising and ceasing, this phenomenon of birth and death, is because it is a state manifested by the mind. Through meditation and practice, we can observe this state ourselves. Typically, during meditation, we see the mind's conditions rising and falling, arising and ceasing. But if we look more closely, we will see only the mind itself, and the mind is unmoving. It serves as the foundation and does not follow the fluctuations. What arises and ceases belongs to the mind within the five aggregates. The non-arising and non-ceasing nature is the essence of the mind. Devotee asks, so which of the five aggregates form feeling, perception, mental formations, or consciousness? Does Ajahn refer to? Ajahn Golf answer, it is consciousness. The true nature of the mind is non-arising and non-ceasing. However, when it comes into contact with defilements, it gives rise to fluctuations, resulting in arising and ceasing. Consciousness can be understood in two ways: the essence of consciousness and the consciousness that knows the other for aggregates. The essence of consciousness cannot be called permanent, although its nature is non-arising and non-ceasing. When defilements are present, they cause consciousness to engage in rebirth. How can consciousness become truly permanent? That requires the complete eradication of ignorance. When ignorance is fully uprooted, consciousness can be called permanent. To put it simply, right now, everyone's mind is deathless. However, it is not yet permanent. It is still impermanent. This is because we still have ignorance and defilements, and we are still led by these defilements. When we completely eliminate ignorance, the mind enters a state of nibbana. In this state of nibbana, the mind can be called permanent. When we fully dissect the five aggregates, we can clearly see that the mind remains. If we cannot yet separate the aggregates, it is because the mind is still entangled with the other four aggregates. Such a mind is impermanent. Devotee, so does this mean that only when the five aggregates are empty can we see the non-arising and non-ceasing essence of the mind? Ajahn Golf, this question requires you to practice for yourself. When you practice and reach that point, you will understand. Devotee, during meditation, when observing the body with the mind, I simultaneously become aware of both the body and the mind. Is this awareness the mind of the next moment? Or what is it? Ajahn Golf, let's not complicate it. This is not something that can be understood through speculation or merely wanting to know. The non-arising and non-ceasing mind is like a space. The air within this space always exists. Coolness in this space arises and ceases, as does heat, but the space itself always remains. If we spray perfume in this space, the fragrance arises and then fades, yet the space remains unchanged, neither arising nor ceasing. If there is an odor in the space, the odor arises and fades, but the space continues to exist as it is. People may come and go from this room, but the space remains as it is. Even after this 2-day meditation retreat ends, the space still exists. The non-arising and non-ceasing mind is like this space, except that the space lacks awareness, whereas the mind has awareness. The mind is the element of knowing. Everything we see arising and ceasing belongs to the five aggregates. When something arises, we know it. When something ceases, we know it. The one that knows this arising and ceasing is the non-arising and non-ceasing mind. This requires subtle stillness and wisdom to perceive. Our mind is non-arising and non-ceasing. It does not die. However, due to unwholesome habits and tendencies, the mind remains in a state of impermanence. suffering, and non-self. This is because defilements lead the mind into cyclic existence. The mind is the element of knowing, so when defilements lead the mind into rebirth, and when suffering arises, this knowing element also knows the suffering. When defilements are removed, leaving only the knowing mind, this mind no longer cycles through rebirth. Such a purified mind is the state of Nibbana. A mind that attains Nibbana no longer undergoes rebirth. This is permanence. If the mind is truly relinquished, concepts of permanence and happiness are entirely let go. If our mind still clings to ideas of permanence or happiness, it has not yet been relinquished. Regarding the concept of self, practice aims to eliminate the self. This self refers to unwholesome tendencies. What keeps us cycling in samsara is this self. However, at the beginning of practice, we rely on this self to cultivate the path to non-self, to eliminate this self. So, there's no need to think too far ahead. Thinking too far will make it impossible to understand. It's like walking to a destination. We must be mindful of the path we are currently walking. We need to walk the present path with mindfulness. If we keep thinking about the road ahead, no matter how much we think, we won't know what that road is really like. When we arrive, we realize it's entirely different from what we imagined. For example, if Ajahn hadn't yet come to Hong Kong and imagined Hong Kong is like this or like that, when Ajahn actually arrived, it's not as Ajahn thought. Imagination and reality are two different things. What we need to do is follow the course, practice according to the path of virtue, stillness, and wisdom. Establish the cause first. When our mind is calm, we contemplate the reality of the five aggregates, impermanence, suffering, and non-self. As we continue to practice, the path becomes clearer, so follow the cause and practice. If doubts arise, they are the hindrance of doubt, one of the five hindrances obstructing our practice. If we do not practice and realize Nibbana through direct experience, then Nibbana easily becomes something we merely imagine.